Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about, so let's delve straight into the topics. So I am going to be giving you some latest news on what Ed Woodward has come out and recently said, and then after that I'm going to give you the latest news on Jack Grealish and Jadon Sancho, and I think I'm going to be talking with you a bit more about Paul Pogba as well. And then if I do have time, I will give you the latest news on Mauricio Pochettino. So that's the topics I am going to delve into. But I am going to start with the news on Ed Woodward. So I was reading reports yesterday, and it says that Ed Woodward has made a transfer promise to Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer, insisting that he will back him. And, Ed Woodward said, we will remain highly competitive in the summer transfer market. Don't forget, last Friday, Ed Woodward had come out and told the fans forum that he insists, we will not do business as usual in the transfer market. So what he meant in that aspect is that, we won't be spending hundreds of millions of pounds in the transfer market due to, the coronavirus pandemic, because obviously, a lot of teams are under financial pressure. A lot of teams are under financial pressure due to this pandemic and stuff like that. So basically, reflecting on what Ed Woodward had said last week, that put Jadon Sancho's move to Man United in doubt, and it also put Jack Grealish's move to Man United in doubt, and that because basically Ed Woodward had ruled out big transfers and stuff like that. Also, too, Ed Woodward has come out and said, there is uncertainty over finishing the Premier League season, and he also said there's uncertainty over the cup competitions and stuff like that. So these are some of the stuff that Ed Woodward has come out and said. So in a way, he's reiterating some of the stuff that he's mentioned before, because he said on numerous occasions this season, that he is determined to back Solskjaer. He's also said on quite a few occasions that his job is safe at Manchester United. Now, of course, Ed Woodward has been at Manchester United since 2012. I think it's 2012, so this is now his 8th year at the football club. And of course, Man United have been very, very critical of him, especially, this season. But we've been critical of Ed Woodward for several years. With the couple, I'll outline the couple of reasons, why we've criticised him. Obviously, because our recruitment policy's been poor in the last 6 or 7 years or so. Also, too, he's been criticised, with us overpaying for players in recent years. Prime example, 75 million for Lukaku, 89 million for Pogba, 50 million for Fred, 40 million pounds for Matic, 80 million pounds for Harry Maguire. So he's also been criticised for that. Obviously, quite a few weeks ago, I was reading up about Ed Woodward as well, and I think I mentioned it on one of my videos, and it said he's got no intentions of recommending a director of footballing. Because don't forget, last summer, Ed Woodward, wanted to get a director of football in at Manchester United, and there was quite a few former Manchester United players linked with that director's role, Rio Ferdinand, I think Evra, Darren Fletcher and that. And he did want to get a director of footballing, but I did say, didn't I, last summer that we needed to get a director of footballing, because I did say that's one of the structural changes that we do need at the football club and that. But yeah, Ed Woodward still insists that he is backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I can definitely assure that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be at Manchester United next season. But if things don't work out next season, that's when I would get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And yeah, but like I said, our transfer budget for the summer, will be reduced, but a lot of clubs' transfer budgets will be reduced for the summer. But we've already, said, how many signings we want to make in the summer. Solskjaer's come out, and I think Ed Woodward's also said the same thing, that they want to make around 4 signings, because we probably believe that we need around 4 signings to become title contenders next season, because we hope to enjoy a better season next season than what we've enjoyed, this season. I know before the football season got suspended, was in a good vein of form, and, we are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions. I think the last time we played was 7 weeks ago, and that was that 5-0 win against Lask in the Europa League. And taking into account, if the football season is to resume, then we've got a chance of getting some silverware on the board under Solskjaer. Obviously, we are into the Europa League last state. We're also into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. But, you've got some people still saying that the season should be void. Obviously, there's been rumours saying the season's going to resume on the 8th of June, and obviously games will be played behind closed doors due to public health reasons. And there's been rumours saying that Premier League games will be aired free on television. And it did say that the Premier League are hoping for games to be completed by the 31st of July, so Champions League and Europa League games can be played in August. But the Premier League, and that has been suspended since the 9th of March. So it's been suspended now, I think, for around 7 weeks. But you're still getting some people saying the season should be void. If the season were to be void, like I've said before, it would be interesting to see how it would implicate the league. Would Liverpool get the Premier League title? Would the teams in the relegation zone get relegated? Would Leeds and West Ham come up from the Championship and that? But these 92 games to play in all competitions. So I just don't see how they can play 92 games in all competitions from now till August, because the new season does start in August. So let's just put that into the equation. The new season does start in August and that, but it should resume. I think the Premier League are going to be having a meeting this Friday, to establish plans for the remainder of the season. The Premier League have held quite a few meetings, to establish plans for the remainder of the season. Don't forget Liga 1's being cancelled, as you'd have heard about that on the news. But there you go. So, and like I said, regarding Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer quite a few weeks ago now, this was before Ed Woodward came out with this statement. He actually, said, Solskjaer, that we will exploit the transfer market when it does open. So what he means in that aspect is that, he thinks we can get the right calibre players in to the football club. But Solskjaer's, identified the areas where he does want to strengthen up. He said he wants to recommend a forward in, he wants to recommend a right winger in, and he also wants to recommend a midfielder in. There has still been some reports emerging out saying that Solskjaer wants to recommend a centre-half in, but I'm very, very sceptical that we'll sign a centre-half in the summer transfer market. And don't forget, Solskjaer still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young British talent to Manchester United like he did do last summer. But I said to you before, didn't I? Solskjaer does deserve at least a couple of more transfer windows, because he's still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team. Of course, when the transfer market does open, it will be his 4th transfer window as Manchester United manager, because so far Solskjaer's enjoyed 3 transfer windows at the football club, and he's spent around £220 million on 5 players. But I've got to credit Solskjaer for the players that he has recommended in so far. So I've got to make that admission. So I have got to make that admission, and that, the players that he has recruited into the football club so far. And, he's been at Manchester United now for around over 16 months. So he has been at the football club now over a year. Yes, he has in that. So now let's delve into some of the news on Jadon Sancho and Jack Grealish. So I was reading a bit more news regarding Grealish and Sancho yesterday, and it does reportedly say Manchester United may have to sell Paul Pogba to sign Jack Grealish and Jadon Sancho. Now, of course, I give you the news, didn't I, on Jadon Sancho yesterday, and a lot of positivity was coming out regarding Jadon Sancho. And this was stemming from the German press, and they've said that, Jadon Sancho has got an agreement with Borussia Dortmund to leave in the summer, because Borussia Dortmund have told Sancho that he can leave in the summer, providing that their asking price is met. Now, as you all know, Borussia Dortmund have said they do want at least £100 million. Some reports have said they want around £120 million. But either figure is going to make him a record signing in the Premier League, and it's also going to make him our most expensive signing. It's going to make him our most expensive signing. And I think, it did say, we are prepared to pay what Borussia Dortmund are demanding for the player. Don't forget, it said recently, we're planning to sell around 5 players, to increase our transfer budget and to fund the move for Jadon Sancho. Now, according to recent reports, Man United are willing to offer Jadon Sancho the number 7. And to be honest with you, I think he'd operate very, very well in the number 7 for Man United. And like I've said before, we've had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations. Like I said, we've had the likes of George Best, Eric Cantona, David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo. We had Owen as a number 7 at one point. In recent years, our number 7s have been Paul, Sanchez and Memphis Depay, they were so inconsistent, but I think Sancho would do really, really well. But Sancho is expected to leave Borussia Dortmund at the end of the season. He's expected to leave at the end of the season. Obviously, it came out the other week. It was stemming from the Sun, and they'd actually, said we'd agreed personal terms with Jadon Sancho. I know Sun isn't a reliable source, but that's what they said, that, we'd agreed his huge buyout clause, we'd agreed the length of his contract, also to his salary, his bonuses had also been agreed. It said the only thing that hasn't been agreed is a fee, and as far as I'm aware at the moment, we have not actually lodged a bid in for Jadon Sancho. But Borussia Dortmund do sell him in the summer. Like I said to you before, Manchester City will benefit from it, because I think City, do get around 15% of the transfer fee due to the couple of clauses in his transfer deal that, from Manchester City to Borussia Dortmund and that. So there you go. He did say the other week, though, I think it was last week, that Borussia Dortmund believe they can convince Jadon Sancho to stay. They can convince Jadon Sancho to stay by offering him a 1-year contract worth around £9 million a year. And if he was to sign that 1-year contract, that would make him the second highest paid player at Borussia Dortmund behind Marco Reus. But Jadon Sancho's already made the admission, he did say back in February he wants to leave Borussia Dortmund, and he said if he was to leave Borussia Dortmund, his preference would be a move to Manchester United. And I've already outlined the reasons, why it would be beneficial for us to recommend him in, is because he's well proven in the Premier League. He endured 2 years at Manchester City, did Jadon Sancho, a couple of years, yeah. But the main explanation why I left Manchester City is because he didn't get assured any first team opportunities. Before he was at Manchester City, he was at Watford, and he was at Watford for several years, was Jadon Sancho. So he began his footballing career in London. And I think another beneficial thing about us recommending him in is that he's got a very, very good friendship with Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford did reveal that he wants Jadon Sancho at Manchester United next season. But I've got to say, Jadon Sancho would go well in our attacking line alongside the likes of Greenwood, Rashford and Anthony Martial and that. It would be one of the club's best attacking trios, to be quite honest with you. And there's also been rumours saying that Daniel James could be put out on loan if we do get Jadon Sancho on the board. This is what it had said in that. And we have been working on Jadon Sancho's contracts for quite some time. I think it did say we're willing to offer him around £200,000 a week, and we've been in negotiations with his agent for quite some time. So it has been a long process. You had Fabrizio Romano coming out yesterday saying, it would cost quite a bit, to sell Jadon Sancho. So this is what, Fabrizio Romano had said. And Jadon Sancho is only at the age of 20, so still very, very young. He's predominantly a right winger, don't forget. And, Man United are in search for a right winger. But, there hasn't only been us that have been in for Sancho. Don't forget, Chelsea have been in for him. He did reveal that he's a lifelong Chelsea fan. Don't forget, Liverpool were in for him. Real Madrid were in for him. But they're no longer in for Sancho now. So, yeah, I think there's a possibility, chance, we can get a deal over the line for the player. Sancho's now, I think this is his 3rd season with Borussia Dortmund, but I've got to say, since his arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. Dortmund will make a huge profit on the player because they only paid £8 million in from Man City back in 2017. So if they were to sell him for £100 million, they'd make a £92 million profit, sorry. And if they were to sell him for £120 million, they'd make around a £112 million profit. Maybe we could get him for under £100 million. There's been some reports saying maybe we could get him for like £87 million, Jadon Sancho. But yeah, I think he'd do very, very well for us, to be quite honest with you. But obviously, it did say quite a few weeks ago, if we was to fail to qualify for the Champions League, then, maybe he will reject a move to Old Trafford. So, yeah, so that's the latest news on that. We have offered Jadon Sancho the number 7 shirt, and we've also offered him a lucrative contract, apparently. So, that's the news on him. Now, the news is on Jack Grealish. that it remains uncertain, whether Manchester United are going to get him and that, but he is one of our priority targets for the summer transfer market. Now, we already know how much Jack Grealish is going to cost us. He is going to cost us around 70 or 80 million pounds, providing that, Aston Villa avoid relegation. But I think if Villa, were to get relegated, he wouldn't cost in the 70 odd or 80 odd million pound range. You could probably get him cheaper than that. You could get him maybe for around 30 or 40, 50 million pounds maybe. But I think Villa, do want to try and convince Jack Grealish to stay. But even if Villa were to avoid relegation, I don't think that'd be enough to convince Jack Grealish to remain loyal to them. Now, of course, Jack Grealish, up until this point, has spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. He's been a Villa player since the age of 6. Reason up their youth academy, been in their senior squad since 2014. And since then, he has become an integral part of their team. Got to make an admission, he's flourished under Dean Smith's guidance as Jack Grealish. I think, he was key for them getting promotion to the Premier League. He was also key for them, progressing to the Carabao Cup final. Very, very good player. And he's on at the age of 24, is Jack Grealish. It has said in recent weeks and that, we are planning to play Jack Grealish as a right winger if we are to get him into the football club. He isn't predominantly a right winger though. Jack Grealish is predominantly an attacking midfielder. But I think for the vast majority of this season, he has been playing on that left-hand side. He did say a couple of weeks ago that our preference is Jack Grealish over James Maddison. And we've outlined a couple of the reasons why our preference is Grealish over Maddison, because Grealish is a cheaper solution. I'd say Grealish is more versatile, and Grealish was in better form than James Maddison, before all the football season got suspended and that. So we are still trying to get a deal over the line for him. So, I think we've probably got to sell Pogba to get them two players because, they're going to cost us nearly £200 million, are Jack Grealish and Jadon Sancho. But, there you go. But I think he will follow the footsteps of James Milner and Gareth Barry because, they're also former Aston Villa players. But I think Grealish is a good player. I do. And he's, of course, well proven in that in the Premier League. So I think he'd do well if he came to Man United. Don't forget, Tottenham came close to getting him in the summer of 2018. I think City have also been in for him. But I think, he will leave Aston Villa. I don't think he will be there next season. And obviously, like us will be able to double his wages. City will be able to double his wages and that. So there you go. So let's talk with you about Paul Pogba. So Rio Ferdinand has come out and give his verdict on Paul Pogba. I think I mentioned this to you the other day. I think Rio Ferdinand's actually given some advice to Paul Pogba. I think one of the reports said, that Paul Pogba should leave Manchester United in the summer. Now, there is a lot of uncertainty over Paul Pogba's future. It isn't fully assured, that he is going to leave in the summer transfer market. But I did say to you, didn't I, if Paul Pogba does leave Man United in the summer, I think he'll either go to Real Madrid. If he doesn't go to Real Madrid, I think he will make a return back to Juventus. Because don't forget, Paul Pogba did enjoy 4 years with Juventus. And he enjoyed a good 4 years with Juventus, but since he rejoined Man United from them back in 2016, the vast majority of his performances have been totally comparison in that. Don't forget, PSG have been in for him recently, Barcelona have been in for him in the past. And it also said, that Inter Milan were in for him. Now, we could actually, get less for Paul Pogba, than what he's worth. If we had to sell him in the summer, maybe we could only get around £70 million for the player. So that's around £19 million less than what we paid for him because we did pay £89 million for Pogba. Of course, obviously, over a month ago now, it was totally contrast to what's been coming out, in recent weeks. Because obviously, it did say, Solsjkaer said that Paul Pogba will remain at Man United next season. I think he did say that in Austria. And Paul Pogba did say himself that he was interested in staying at the football club and he was interested in extending his contract at Manchester United. Don't forget now, Paul Pogba's got exactly a year remaining on his Man United contract because, we have decided not to trigger that 1 year extension. Don't forget. But, Pogba's only played 8 times this season for the football club. His appearances have been limited due to his injuries. And, Paul probably give his own verdict, on the issues that he's had with injuries this season. I think he has become very, very infuriated about it, to be quite honest with you. The football season does eventually resume. Paul Pogba should be, back in action because he has been stepping up his fitness regime. I think he had the surgery on his ankle back in January. Did you know, Paul Pogba? But yeah, like I said, there is a lot of uncertainty over his future at the football club. Paul Pogba does still want to leave Manchester United, so he has got the same perception now than what he had last summer, because he revealed last summer, did Paul Pogba, that he wanted to leave the football club. He was seeking for a new challenge, and he even publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club, but his preference was to make a move to Real Madrid last summer. But the main explanation why his move to Madrid didn't materialise last summer was reflecting on, the substantial amount we was demanding, because we said we wanted around £180 million. We was demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus. Real Madrid were not willing to meet that £180 million asking price. So this is why his move to Madrid didn't materialise. Like I said, Pogba's got a good relationship with Zinedine Zidane. He was talking a hell of a lot about Real Madrid last year. His agent, Mini Raiola's got a good relation with Real Madrid. Mini Raiola, has been working on trying to get his client a transfer away from Man United completed, at least in the last couple of seasons. Mini Raiola's had some talks with Juventus. He's also had some talks with Real Madrid. But, Man United have been very, very critical of him, reflecting on some of his comments he has said, throughout the course of this season. And I think Ed Woodward's had quite a few negotiations with Mini Raiola to try and resolve Paul Pogba's future at the football club. Of course, Real Madrid are looking to get rid of players. They're looking to get rid of James Rodriguez, Gareth Bale, Luka Jovic. Karim Benzema's coming to an end of his career. They're looking to get rid of Dani Ceballos on a permanent transfer. So looking to get rid of players, but looking to also make more signings when the summer transfer market does reopen, because Real Madrid did make around, 5 or 6 signings last summer, and yes, they did. And of course, like I updated you recently, it does say that Juventus are willing to offer 2 of their players in a swap deal for Paul Pogba. Damasio broke out this news recently, and Damasio's reported on quite a few things. Damasio is a very reliable Italian journalist, but he's come out as Damasio, and he said that Man United and Juventus have been in conversations over a swap deal, with Paul Pogba. And it does say, the players that Juventus are willing to offer us, and that's Aaron Ramsey. I think also too Miralem Pjanic's been mentioned. I think in a few media outlets, Douglas Costa has been mentioned in that. So, possibility chance that Paul Pogba could make a return back to Juventus. Don't forget, he came out the other week saying that PSG were willing to offer us 2 of their players in a swap deal for Pogba. They was willing to offer us Angel Di Maria and Julian Draxler. Don't forget, Angel Di Maria is a former Manchester United player. We had him back under Louis van Gaal era. He only enjoyed, 1 season at the football club. We paid just under 60 million for him from Real Madrid, and then sold him for just under 50 million a year later to PSG. Now Di Maria is in his 5th season with Paris Saint-Germain. Yes, he is in that. But like I said to there's a lot of uncertainty over Pogba's future. Pogba is now into his 4th season at Manchester United. Like I said, he enjoyed a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era. Because he had a bad relationship with Jose Mourinho. I think we made a mistake getting rid of Pogba when he was a lot younger, because we did have him under the Alex Ferguson era, but the main explanation why we had to let him go was, due to limited appearances. And Pogba, said it was his mother and his brother that, played a part in him, leaving Manchester United for Juventus back in 2012. Don't forget, Pogba, responded to the criticism he received from Graham Souness, and Ferdinand said, Paul Pogba didn't mean to be disrespectful when he said, he didn't recognise, Graham Souness and stuff like that. But there you go. And Pogba is 27 years of age, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. And I think he'd go well alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. I really, really do. He really, really would go well alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. Them playing in our starting lineup, Bruno Fernandes would obviously be the number 10, and I think Paul Pogba would play in the number 6. But there again, Paul Pogba can also play in the number 8. But I'd be excited about the prospects of them playing together in our midfield. But some people say give Pogba another season and see how it plans out. I don't know. But that is the latest news regarding him anyway. But, if we are to sell him, I think, we need to get at least £100 million for the player. So, yeah. So now let's delve into the news on Mauricio Pochettino. So the news is on Mauricio Pochettino is that Newcastle United want to recommend Mauricio Pochettino in to replace Steve Bruce. And Sky Sports did confirm, and Sky Sports is a very reliable source. It said that Newcastle are willing to offer Pochettino around £19 million a year. Now, Newcastle are getting new owners in. They are the Saudi Arabians. I don't think it's officially completed as yet, the takeover. But reportedly, the Saudi Arabians will pay around £300 million to take over Newcastle. Because quite a few weeks ago, Mike Ashley, did agree to sell the club to the Saudi Arabians. Of course, Mike Ashley was Newcastle's owner for a good 12 or was it 13 years or so. He said if the takeover wasn't to be successful, then, Mike Ashley would be entitled to around £17 million, something like that, it mentioned. But yeah, I think the Saudi Arabians are worth around 260 billion. Some reports have actually, said they're worth over 300 billion pounds. And the Saudi Arabians are run by Amanda Staveley. They are run by Amanda Staveley. Yeah, so Newcastle, have got the richest owners in the Premier League if this takeover is completed in that. So yeah, so they do want to recommend Mauricio Pochettino in. I think, they have got a few managers on their agenda. They also are planning to make, Galactico signings when the summer transfer market does open. Pochettino has actually come out and made an admission saying that he does want to make a return back to Tottenham. Of course, don't forget Mauricio Pochettino was sacked last year as Tottenham manager. Of course, Mauricio Pochettino endured 5.5 years as Tottenham manager and did really, really well, did Mauricio Pochettino. I've got to say, Tottenham made a bad mistake by getting rid of Mauricio Pochettino. Analysing the vast majority of Mauricio Pochettino's tenure, Tottenham were competing in and out of the top four. Analysing the vast majority of his tenure, I think there was a season or two, where Tottenham actually became title contenders. I think the closest they ever came to winning it was the season, when Leicester won the Premier League. Obviously, don't forget Pochettino guided Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final last season. He also got them quite a few fourth place finishes, third place finishes, got them, I think, second place one season. So he did really, really well. But, the only element of concern about Pochettino is that he hasn't won anything in terms of silverware. But I think his actual win ratio at Tottenham was very, very good because I think Pochettino won 159 games in 293 games in all competitions and won around 113 games in the league in the 202 games he managed in the Premier League. I think it did say that Tottenham would be entitled to £10 million in compensation if Pochettino was to get a job before, the end of the season. But Newcastle United are planning to get him in to replace Steve Bruce. But he's well proven in the Premier League as Pochettino. Obviously, before he was at Tottenham, he was at Southampton. I thought he enjoyed a very, very good short tenure with Southampton. Don't forget, he guided Southampton to their highest ever finish. And before he was at Southampton, he was at Espanyol. And he started his managerial career in 2009, Pochettino. So he has been managing for just over a decade now. But has been managerless since last year. Don't forget. But I think Newcastle, did like his rebuilding project at Tottenham. So this is, one of the main explanations why they do want to recommend Mauricio Pochettino in. And I think Pochettino did make an admission saying he still wants to continue managing in, the Premier League and that. So, but don't forget, my club, Man United, were in for him, this season. Because obviously, there was one point, where Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer was close to getting the sack and that. And I said to you the other day, didn't I? I outlined a couple of the reasons what saved Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job at Manchester United. And that was reflecting on the successful January transfer window we had, when we signed Bruno Fernandes and when we recommended Odi Nagalo in. And I've got to say, that 6-0 win against Tranmere at that time saved his job because there was reports coming out before that game saying if we didn't get anything, it was likely, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been sacked as Manchester United manager. But, like I've said to you anyway, Bruno Fernandes has made the difference in the team. But yeah, we was relentlessly linked with Mauricio Pochettino, and you can say we should have got Pochettino in after the sacking of Jose Mourinho and that. And he was our primary candidate, but our preference was Solskjaer because, we just saw as that, Solskjaer knows the club inside out. He was a great long-serving player for 11 years. Plus, he was a cheaper solution at that point than Mauricio Pochettino. But yeah, the Pochettino was in talks with the football club earlier on in the season and that. He was interested in taking over the job at Manchester United. But, now obviously, with Newcastle being in for him, Pochettino now to Man United is definitely in doubt. But yeah. So that is the latest news on that. Like I said, we are planning to get rid of around 5 or 6 players in the summer transfer market. I think we're hoping to, raise at least £100 million, for the 5 or 6 players, that we do decide to get rid of. I think we're definitely not going to get rid of Phil Jones in the summer because, Phil Jones doesn't even get in the team now. I think we're also going to get rid of, Jesse Lingard and Andres Pereira, because they've been 2 liabilities. I think we're going to get rid of Smalling and Rojo on permanent transfers because, like I said to you anyway, we have got a lot of centre-halves in the team. I'm hopeful, that we can get rid of Alexis Sanchez on a permanent transfer, but we're going to find it very, very difficult because Sanchez is facing a dilemma because Inter Milan don't want him permanently, we don't want him back at the club. I said it's his wages, that really, really having a bad effect on the football club. Like I said, there's been rumours saying that, Diego Dalot could leave the football club. But yeah, players, will definitely leave Manchester United. But a lot of players have left anyway since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. A lot of players have left anyway since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival and that. But like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. Of course, we've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. We sacked David Moyes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho and that. And we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. But like I've said, there's some positives to take from Solskjaer's tenure. Like I said, his approach to the big games has been very, very good. And we've registered like 17 points this season, against the big sides. He's promoted the youth very, very well. The young players have been given their opportunities this season. We've had some big wins under Solskjaer as well. He still needs to work out his best formation, because he hasn't worked out his best formation as yet. And, he's still in the process of rebuilding. We have recruited over 30-odd players since the Alex Ferguson era and spent close to the £1 billion range. But there you go. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes, on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.